A man was crushed to death with giant stones. Because an American town believed witches were real. Not during the Middle Ages. Not in some ancient civilization. In America. And the terrifying part is, the people responsible genuinely believed they were saving lives. In 1692, fear completely consumed the small town of Salem, Massachusetts. Children screamed that invisible spirits were attacking them. Neighbors accused each other of serving Satan. And within a few months, ordinary people were being executed for witchcraft. But what made the Salem witch trials truly horrifying wasn't just the executions. It was how quickly normal people became capable of something monstrous. Once the panic started, nobody was safe. It began during the freezing winter of 1692. Salem was a deeply religious Puritan town where people believed the devil was constantly looking for souls to corrupt. Life was strict. Children were expected to obey without question. Entertainment was considered sinful. And every disaster, sickness, crop failure, storms, was often blamed on God or Satan. Fear already existed in Salem. It was simply waiting for a spark. And that spark came from two young girls. 9-year-old Betty Paris and her cousin Abigail Williams suddenly began acting strangely. At first, it seemed small, but then things got worse. The girls screamed uncontrollably. They crawled under furniture. They twisted their bodies into painful shapes. Sometimes they stared into empty corners of rooms and cried in terror. Other times they claimed invisible figures were hurting them. The adults were horrified. Nobody could explain what was happening. A local doctor examined the girls carefully, but after failing to find a physical cause, he gave a diagnosis that would destroy the town. Witchcraft. That single word spread through Salem like poison. Because in a deeply religious town already terrified of Satan, people were ready to believe it. Soon, the girls began naming names. And the first people accused were exactly who you'd expect. An enslaved woman named Tituba, a homeless beggar, an elderly woman who rarely attended church. Outcasts, easy targets. The town demanded answers. Under intense pressure, Tituba eventually confessed. But instead of calming the panic, her confession poured gasoline on it. She claimed the devil was real. She claimed witches were hiding throughout Salem. And she claimed dark spirits were everywhere. The town exploded into paranoia. Suddenly, nobody trusted anyone. Neighbors looked at each other differently. Families whispered behind locked doors at night. And every strange event became evidence of witchcraft. A sick cow? Witchcraft. A child with a fever? Witchcraft. A failed harvest? The devil. Then the accusations spread even further. Children accused adults. Servants accused masters. Friends accused friends. And once someone was accused, their life was basically over. The trials began shortly after. But these were not normal trials. The court allowed something called spectral evidence, which may be one of the craziest legal concepts in history. It meant someone could be convicted simply because another person claimed to see their spirit in a dream. That was enough. No physical proof. No witnesses. No evidence. Just fear. Imagine standing in a courtroom while screaming children pointed at you claiming your invisible spirit was attacking them. And the judges believed it. Sometimes the girls would suddenly collapse onto the floor during trials. They screamed, convulsed, cried that demons surrounded them, and terrified spectators watched in horror. The courtroom often looked less like a legal proceeding and more like an exorcism. The accused quickly learned something terrifying. If you confessed to witchcraft, you might survive. But if you insisted you were innocent, you could die. That created absolute chaos. Some innocent people confessed simply to stay alive. Others refused to lie, and many of them were executed. One by one, people were marched to the gallows. Most were hanged publicly. Some spent their final moments praying. Others still couldn't understand how their lives had collapsed so quickly. But perhaps the most horrifying death of all belonged to a man named Giles Corey. Corey was over 80 years old when he was accused. But instead of cooperating with the court, he refused to enter a plea. The authorities became furious, so they decided to torture him. They laid him flat on the ground, placed a wooden board across his chest, and then began stacking heavy stones on top of him. Slowly, more weight, then more, hour after hour. The pressure crushed his ribs, destroyed his lungs, and slowly squeezed the life out of him. The officials demanded he enter a plea, but according to legend, Giles Corey refused to beg. Instead, with his chest collapsing beneath the stones, he whispered, More weight. Then he died. Even that wasn't enough to stop the hysteria. By this point, Salem had become completely consumed by fear. People avoided speaking openly. Nobody wanted attention, because attention could get you accused, and an accusation could get you killed. The paranoia became so extreme that even respected church members were suddenly accused of serving Satan. Then wealthy citizens were accused. Then people connected to the government. That's when the panic finally began turning against itself. Because now the powerful were afraid too. The governor of Massachusetts started questioning the trials, especially after accusations reached people close to him. And for the first time, people began asking an obvious question. What if all of this was a lie? Eventually, the use of spectral evidence was banned. And almost immediately, the cases began collapsing. Because without dreams and ghost stories, there was basically no evidence at all. The trials officially ended in 1693, but Salem was ruined. 20 innocent people were dead. Hundreds had been accused. Families had been destroyed. And the town would forever be remembered for one terrifying reason. Fear had completely overridden logic. Years later, many people involved admitted the trials were a horrible mistake. Some judges publicly apologized. The government later compensated surviving families. But nothing could undo the damage. And today, over 300 years later, the Salem witch trials remain one of history's most disturbing reminders of what fear can do to ordinary people. Because the scariest part of this story isn't witches. It's that normal people became executioners, while believing they were the heroes.